Greetings, salutations, and welcome to the 97th episode of Abyssal Musings. My name is Samuel the Infamous, right here, feeling good. Got a brand new avatar, and with me is my co-host, Lawrence Knight.
What's going on, everybody? It almost happened. It almost happened. And it's funny you mentioned new avatar because I'm going to be working on one myself.
Nice.
Um, and I like this one too. So I'm gonna kind of interchange them. Uh, but yeah, it almost happened because you notice how everything was working out, right? Everything.
Mhm.
You're not having any internet problems. Not only am I not having any internet problems, but I'm actually
Don't
getting
say it out loud.
I'm getting full bars right now. I'm happy to see. It's my right as an American to say that I have a full, long, thick bar. Anyway, so I'm sitting there thinking to myself, I'm like, my internet's working, Sam's internet's working. We got the countdown going, but something don't feel right. Something did not feel right, and I was sitting there, I was trying to think to myself, and I'm looking at the countdown. I'm like, something's not right. And then I realize I haven't started the stream yet. The countdown's going. We're almost halfway down, and I hadn't pressed start stream yet.
It
So,
happens.
because we were like down to what, like 17 seconds when I was like, oh crap, okay.
Yeah. No, it happens. Technical difficult. Look, for those of you who don't do this streaming thing regularly, there's kind of a lot that goes into getting the show started. And if it doesn't line up just perfectly, you get a lot of what happens at a lot of the beginning of a lot of my streams is some technical fuck up, like the intro video didn't play right away, or there's a mic malfunction or whatever. There's all kinds of stuff that goes into that you got to check and double check
Wait,
before you start, and sometimes you miss stuff because there's a lot of stuff.
hey, are you saying? Wait, are you saying that you had a mic malfunction?
Not this week so far, but yeah, it happens occasionally.
But it happens occasionally. Um, what are you doing to take care of that mic malfunction?
I have a feeling you're going to turn this into some kind of like degenerate innuendo, but
No, I'm asking. I'm legit asking. What are you doing?
it depends on the thing. Most of the time, it's a connection issue. Right. Most of the time, it's like either there's an issue with the StreamYard software, or there's an issue with my internet connection, or sometimes I just accidentally bump the cable and it comes loose and it just doesn't. I think it's connected and I think people can hear me, but it's not plugged in. So, generally speaking, I haven't had too many serious issues. It hasn't crapped out on me. I've had this mic for about a year and a half, and it's served me pretty well in that time so far. But and I'm hoping that I don't have to replace it, because it wasn't like the most expensive on the market, but it wasn't exactly cheap either. So
Do you know what it took for me not to say what was running through my head as you were saying all that?
I fucking knew it, chat. I knew it. I knew it. Did I not call that shit or what?
No, because when I asked you, it was a legitimate question. But as you started going, I started thinking of stuff started popping in my head that I could say. And I was like, I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to embarrass this guy. I'm not saying that. Like, you having connections issues. I was like, so in other words, you ain't getting laid.
Yeah,
You
that
know?
has nothing to do with my microphone at all.
but but if you ain't getting laid, then your mic is dry. And that's probably the problem.
See, even Zillage knew.
Well, it takes a
So
village to figure that out.
I promise Zillage, there is going to come a day when he will tire of that pun. It just might be about 10 years from now.
You know, I had a friend in high school. that I had a pun attached to his name, and he said the same thing you just said.
You still call him that, don't you?
17 years, 17 years,
All right, so it might be a
all the
little
way
longer than
up,
a decade.
all the way up to the day before I decided that being his friend wasn't worth it anymore. But all the way up to that point, it never went away. You damn right, I
Oh
ain't
man.
ever gonna forget Cole High.
All right. Well, let's say hello to the chat real quick. We'll get
And you're
over
lucky
to
I didn't
that.
call you what I called you in the chat earlier. I mean, in the text message earlier that you sent.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's say hello to the chat. First, we have Jacob Gallo. Good to see you, my man. And we've got Kohai with us, and just for Adam, also Lawrence Knight. So, my connection's getting a little spotty. Let me know if it's getting roboty, because yeah, okay, tis what
Draw
it
your
is.
hand off.
Yeah, that's the issue. Suka is with us. Let's see, scrolling down. We got a JB in the chat. Hello, hello, hello. Good to see you, man. Vor Axelon is with us tonight. Good to see you, my man. This is primarily why I wanted to get to this as soon as possible, because I know Vor's got a pretty busy personal life. So, he's here when he can be, and we do appreciate that. I'm clicking on stuff. It's not working. All right, there we go. Yeah. Also, Zillich mentioned Zillich earlier at the top of the show. Make fun of his name a little bit. So, Aaron Laura has joined us. We have Capitana with us tonight, and I think that catches us up for now. So, yeah, welcome in, guys. All right, what do we got coming?
Welcome. So, guys, tonight I'm gonna do something that we don't do often. You notice a lot of YouTubers when they advertise their show, they put some kind of heading on there. We don't do that because it's not to goad any of you into tuning in or anything. But you never know what's going to happen, and we felt like the atmosphere for Abyssal Musings is kind of supposed to be about the unknown, which is another reason why we don't show our faces. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over what we're going to do tonight, and then I'm going to tell you guys what we have in store for next week, which I normally don't try not to do. And then just in case for people who come in later, I'll repeat it again. But
By the way, good night, Vor.
Okay. Well, Vor, hopefully you catch us on a replay. That's nice of him, man, to come in. We've got quite a few people that come in and they stop and say hello, and again, we appreciate all of you guys. We really do.
Yeah, we do. Absolutely.
You got it, Vor. But yeah, so tonight we have, as promised, we have the Creeper for versus, which I also call Monsters Ball. We have the Creeper versus Pumpkinhead. Originally, it was going to be the Creeper versus Pazuzu, but then we were like, well, Pazuzu is an air demon, and how the hell is a Creeper going to catch him? Because you can't catch the wind. So how's he going to catch him? And in order for it to even be a fight, Pazuzu has to possess someone. And in order for a Creeper to even consider that person be worth that time, that person, possessed or not, would have to have something that he'd want. And I would think that a demon-possessed person is not going to have anything that the Creeper would want. So we decided, Pumpkinhead is a horror movie icon. He's more physical, more in the physical realm, just like the Creeper. And so we decided, okay, well, let's do that. And of course, we are on the road to Halloween, so we have a movie spotlight tonight, which is Jeepers Creepers, in honor of the Creeper himself. And we've got a little bit of news for you guys tonight. Now, as for next week, Next week is trivia night. But this is a little bit different. I'm not going to torture you guys with 12-minute videos, 30-minute videos. The trivia from this point forward probably won't have any videos, but everything else that I put in to, make you guys think, try to, do some innovations with it, that will be there. It'll be 30 questions. God willing, we'll have a good panel. Have some guests that we're going to reach out to. If not, we know, hey, it'll be Sam, Sasquatch, and of course, you guys in the chat. You're always welcome to participate. We do write your names down. Your names are written down on the board as an active participant when you respond. And as for next week's movie Spotlight, you can't go into Halloween without reviewing Bram Stoker's Dracula. So next week is going to be a packed one. And in fact, Sam and I were talking backstage, and we were like, we probably won't even have time to do any news next week. So if I find any crazy articles, I'll parlay that into next week. But between Dracula having having a panel of who knows how many people, doing verses, and with the trivia, it's going to be a full next week's going to be a full one. So
Yeah, absolutely.
What the hell do you mean you don't know what I'm on about?
Oh, about this, like she said that you said that these we were hiding our faces. This is my face.
Keep telling yourself that. Anyway.
No, I'm not. I'm telling them that.
I mean, it's fine.
Don't break the illusion. Don't break the illusion.
Any illusion. I mean, I'm not breaking your illusions. I mean, you do have things. I'm not gonna. There's a reason why he has tentacles in his avatar. As I eat and enjoy this famous Amos, which by the way has been for sale since 1975.
That particular one? That particular one has been for sale since 1975?
No, the brand. Now, you have been for sale since 1975, from what I hear.
Well, that's weird because I wasn't even conceived then.
People were they were taking in pre-orders. Hey, that I have a. Oh, I almost forgot. While we are advertising, while we're talking about things, so for those of you who may know of the existence of a certain feline that we are very close with, she is a lioness / vampire / djinn. There's a certain event in her life that's coming up in a couple of weeks. It might be a day. It's a day that progresses her a year, and she notoriously she just considers it to be another day. Her birthday's coming up, and in honor of that, a very, very concerned, I shouldn't say concerned, but a very appreciative member of the Pride is putting together something special for her. And for those of you who may not have seen or heard about it, we're going to go ahead and share this.
Oh, geez. So
the gentleman who created this is, of course, Suka Nuka. As you can see, he's in it. He's in the chat. In fact, let's go ahead, and I'm gonna go ahead and drop the link, and hopefully I'll be able to drop the link again tomorrow if the lioness goes on before she cusses me out and puts me in the naughty corner and blocks me for the rest of the night, which I suspect she's going to do once I put the link in the chat. So but but yeah, so that's the link for those of you who know that Suka puts together some good stuff. Go ahead and subscribe to his channel. He's got some other Amira themed videos on there as well. I believe Aaron Laura's got some stuff on there. So Yeah, I'm also looking to do something for her birthday. I don't know what, but yeah, she's coming up. We've had just about a full year with our lioness, and we look forward to more.
Well, it was nice knowing all of you.
Yeah, for real, I'm not
Hey,
coughing
we
anymore.
all
So
dead. So
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm not coughing anymore. So she'll definitely be looking for my blood.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, so that's something to look forward to. Let's see how that goes. Oh
She'll be
man.
mad as hell when she sees that.
Yeah. Yes, Zillage. Yes, we're all dead. Oh man. All right. So but yeah, that's something to look forward to. I mean this next birthday for her is I don't know. I view my birthday pretty much the same way that she does hers. It's a day that happened, you know. It's not a big deal to me. Hers isn't a big deal to her. But like everybody else, we have people in our lives who like to make a big deal out of it, whether we want them to or not. So, you know,
Mhm.
here we go.
Well, in your case, we do it to torture you. In, in her case,
That's why I don't tell people when it is.
oh, don't worry, I will. No, I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. But yeah, yeah, it's her birthday's coming up. In fact, I actually wished her early birthday the other day, and yeah, the response wasn't nice. Oh, you just
Mm,
had to be the first one to say something, didn't you? And I said, well, and I thought to myself, you know what? I could just go ahead and say, yeah, I just thought it was nice. Or I could start some mess. So I started some mess. I said, well, I'm not the only person that remembers your birthday's coming up. And she's like, huh? And I'm like, yeah. And then it didn't, the texting stopped because she knows at this point, she knows something's going on, but she doesn't know what. So, and knowing her, she's probably out right now. I called her earlier and I was like, she's probably out, or it was still daytime, so she's still in her coffin sleeping.
yeah. You're
But
all
we know how
dead.
she likes to lurk too. She's probably watching this show right now, which I need to move forward. So let's start off with some news, Sam. Let's start off with some news. Now, I don't know if you heard about this. I heard something about this. I haven't read the article, but so this lady says she was vaping until her lungs collapsed and black goo poured out of her. Now, here's as you know, I don't smoke. I don't smoke.
Yeah.
I don't vape. Um, I don't judge anybody who smokes or vapes. I remember when vaping was just coming around the scene. That I noticed it. It was around maybe 2000, about 2014,
Sure.
and I had met people that were vaping, and I was hearing nothing but positive things about it. Which, of course, you're always going to hear in the beginning because research is ongoing, and nobody's known if anything's happened yet. And so, but what I saw was that people who switched from smoking to vaping stopped smoking, and eventually they stopped vaping, and then they were off of smoking entirely. And so,
Hmm.
what happened is I was speaking with a vendor, and he said that the tobacco industry was getting upset because people were switching to vaping, and it was getting them off the cigarettes, and
Yeah,
so
this
they
was
started.
there were lawsuits. Yeah.
Yeah, they were lawsuits, and they started um, lobbying politicians, and they started paying news outlets to send out negative ads. It still didn't work, but what has helped them is you have a lot of young people out there who started altering the liquid that goes with it, and they started putting stuff in it that's not supposed to be in it, start doing things, and all of a sudden you start seeing these commercials. Oh, they've got nickel in it and dimes and quarters. I mean, went through all the U.S. currency that they these kids they put in all the U.S. currency in the vape cartridges, and is making their lungs burn off. They're even putting cryptocurrency into the cartridges and smoking that too. So, it's just my opinion. I'll ask you what you think. It's just my opinion that I'm looking at this article, and I purposefully did not read it because I'm pretty sure that as we scroll down and look at it, that we're going to see things that is going to go into in the opposite direction of what this heading wants us to think.
Well, okay, so if she's got black goo coming out of her, there was something else added to it. So of the two of us, chat, Larry doesn't smoke. I do. Right. Been around people who smoke and vape my entire life. Well, the vaping thing's only about 10 years old, but still. I got some of you guys might remember Maester Chow. Helped me start this channel about 2 years ago. Used to be on here pretty regular, and then he, had real life issues. But anyway, he vapes. And he has used vaping to distance himself from actual cigarettes, like Larry was saying. Like, this was a very common thing. People were using it to get off. Difference is that he hasn't quit doing that. It just got him off the cigarettes. And the main difference is that there are something like 412 different chemicals that are in a cigarette, right? Nicotine is one of them. Nicotine is what keeps people coming back to it, of course, but there's all kinds of other shit that's in a cigarette. So what vaping is essentially it's flavored water vapor with nicotine added directly into that. So while that's not great for you long term, right? There are benefits to nicotine use, by the way. That they don't really outweigh the cancer. But essentially, yeah, it's just water vapor. It's flavored water vapor with nicotine in it. It comes out smelling like whatever, flavor happens to be. Like if it's fucking raspberry or whatever, it smells like raspberry, a raspberry mister went off or whatever. As opposed to cigarette smoke, which is pretty rank. So if she's coughing up black shit, she was smoking something or vaping something that she shouldn't have been. The only time I have ever seen anybody cough up black crap was on hardcore methamphetamines or somebody who's got cancer. That's it. Oh, well, and then there's black lung. You can cough up black stuff with black lung, but it's not usually liquid. So yeah, there's something else going on here. It's not just the vaping.
Yeah, I've never coughed up anything, so I've been like I said, I don't smoke, and I've had people in my life that died from smoking. They just could not put the cigarette down, and eventually, it got the best of them. Mm-hmm. Let's see what this video does. Of course, I got to add music to it, so we got to turn the sound off. Okay, and I'm gonna take that off because that's also a bit depressing. Let's go into the article. So, of course, she's in Ohio. A young Ohio woman.
Why is Ohio so fucked up?
I don't know, man. A young Ohio woman was so addicted to vaping that she showered and slept with an e-cigarette until she nearly died when her lungs collapsed and black goo poured out of her. Now she's warning others to steer clear of vaping. Her message comes amid estimates there are 82 million vapors worldwide. I wouldn't wish what I'd been through on anyone else. I feel grateful to be alive. Jordan Brielle, 32, admitted to the news. The Cincinnati resident, which you ask anybody in Ohio, they're going to tell you she's pretty much Kentuckian. She lives in Cincinnati. But the Cincinnati resident noticed her health decline in November 2023 when she began to feel a distinct heaviness in her chest. She switched to vaping in 2021 after being a cigarette smoker since she was a young teen. Well, there's the problem right there. I'll bet you it's more than that.
I guess so.
She soon became addicted to the devices, shelling out $500 a week on her vaping habit, even as she struggled with respiratory problems. So the problem was likely already there.
The $500 a week is fucking excessive for that too, by the way. Really,
Yeah.
really excessive. So a single vape, right? Like when it's filled up top to bottom, right? You haven't used it yet, right? There is an equivalent amount of nicotine in that you would get out of, say, an entire carton of cigarettes. It should take you at least a week and a half to get through that whole thing without having to fucking refill it. Like you might have to dick with your filters a little bit and like replace those, but the actual liquid itself should last you much fucking longer. It'd be like the equivalent of smoking a pack a day, right? And if you're a light smoker, it should last even longer than that. So if she's spending $500 a week, like I get maybe the first week getting all the apparatus and stuff, yeah, that gets expensive. But you really only have to do that the one fucking time, unless you got to replace parts, and then you don't replace the whole thing. So if she's spending that much on it, that means she is way overdoing it, and that would be her problem.
That's a definite problem. So she's somebody that she doesn't need to be vaping. She needs a Nicoderm CQ patch, something else. She's got a serious problem.
Yeah. That shouldn't be costing her any more than $60 to $90 a week.
Yeah, that's crazy. Nobody knew what was actually wrong with me. I felt like I was dying. She caught COVID-19 and pneumonia, but still vaped.
Jesus, Captain. Nobody does. Nobody looks good with that shit.
I'm just saying, man.
Yeah, Zillage, too much of anything isn't good for you. That's true. But in her case, that's a clear overdose.
Yeah, it's way, way over what she should be doing. So she was hooked up to a ventilator, and her family was told her left lung had collapsed and her right lung had partially collapsed. I mean, after suctioning 2 liters of black fluid from her lungs, the doctors placed her into a medically induced coma for 11 days. My body was trying to force out the vape juice inside my lungs, which was like concrete. It was pure black and bloody. I don't believe that was the juice.
No, it isn't. It isn't the juice. Like Cavatano's saying, she needs to drink plenty of water to filter out some of the tar in her lungs. I don't know that would actually help that much in a case of tar, but the problem with that is that there isn't tar in a vape. It's not in it. It's not one of the additives, unless you
Right.
put it in there yourself.
And that's what I believe. I don't think this is the whole story. I think that she was tampering with the vape, and I don't think she stopped. And I don't think she stopped smoking either. I think she was doing both.
That's
In the
possible.
hospital, they told me my lungs were extremely damaged from smoking and vaping, and it felt like there was a pot balloon in my lungs.
She could also have a very weak constitution. Some people are just more susceptible to that kind of damage than others. You know, and combine that with like the clear overdose. There's no fucking way that a normal vape habit costs $500 a week.
No.
Yeah.
There's no way. She's doing more than that. Like I said, there's a whole lot more to that story than what she's saying. And if I'm a vaping company, I'm even looking at it like, should I even consider a lawsuit? Because she's pinning years of her utilizing a product that has nothing to do with what I sell, but she's blaming me for her going into the hospital, and she's overusing. If you drink too much water, even that'll kill you.
Well, look, there's only so much you can do. They put disclaimers on these things. They have to by law to tell you that this is not a substitute for smoking and is not good for you and all that, because of the lobbies that you mentioned earlier by the tobacco industry, which I saw Zillage said something about in the chat. So essentially, the tobacco industry was attempting to do to the vape industry what the sugar industry did to the dairy and butter industry and fatty stuff back in the 50s and 60s, and essentially lied to make their product seem better, kind of thing. And they did enact a bunch of regulations because big tobacco does in fact have a bunch of politicians in their pocket, and that's how it goes. But and it's why vape companies are now required to put these warning labels on everything. They're required to have signs in convenience stores where you can buy like the little. Actually, I don't think you can even get those little one-off packs anymore from convenience stores. I think that they banned those outright in a lot of places. And that had nothing to do with health. That had to do with the tobacco industry being pissed that it was cutting into their sales.
Yep.
But you know, and I'm not in
Exactly
any
what
way
it was.
advocating for vaping, by the way, because it's still fucking bad for you. It's just not quite on the same level as tobacco is. You know, but yeah, that's this. I don't know. This chick was doing something either to that or she was just going too hard on it. Larry, did I ever tell you that story about that buddy of mine in high school? I think I did. Who the first time he tried clove cigarettes, which are a whole different animal,
No, I don't
and
think you
he
did.
thought, okay, so you know, I was a goth in the '90s, as some of you guys know, and one of the things that goths did was they smoked clove cigarettes while listening to bad music because they have this kind of fruity, tangy flavor to them. My personal favorites were a brand called Dejarin Blacks, and they're harsh. So the main thing is that it's not tobacco that you're smoking, right? It's ground up cloves, right? They're very hard on your lungs. So you know you have one once in a while as a special treat or whatever, but you don't fucking chain smoke that shit. So this kid that I knew, first time he heard of him, he's like, oh, well, I can handle it because he smokes. At the time, I think he was smoking Camel Wides. He was like chain smoking those, and he's like, oh, if I can do this, I can do that, right? So he chain smokes a pack of Dejarin Blacks. Spent the next 3 hours after he finished coughing up fucking blood, and it wasn't black; it was red. And then he lost his voice for 2 weeks because he had shredded his larynx.
Mm.
What I used to tell people was that while cigarettes will give you cancer and then make your lungs bleed from the cancer, clove cigarettes skip the cancer and just go straight to making your lungs bleed. Kind of shit. So like she was doing something stupid like that with this vape, in my opinion.
You think she was grounding up clothes into a liquid?
Not No, not specifically that. I just think that she was either adding something or she was just you know, sucking down so much of that shit that it damaged her. I think she overdosed deliberately, you
I,
know.
I think she was already damaged from years of cigarette use, and then, like you said, and then just OD'd on. I don't think she ever stopped smoking. I think she was doing both, and I think that her lungs were already jacked up and were set to
At
go
bottom of the bottle.
anyway. I think it was going to happen whether she was vaping or not.
No. Bottom of the bottle, I am not in fact Asian, but I was a goth, yes. And Andy, I gotta set this shit straight right now. There is a difference between goths and emos. We were here first. The emo came along, stole our whole look, stole our fucking music, stole everything that we do, except the one difference, the main difference, is that when a goth says he's gonna cut himself, he has fucking follow through. And again, not advocating for that. I'm just saying emos just whine about it and then don't do anything.
So, in other words, they're cowards.
Yeah, well, they're all talk. Yeah.
Well, it depends. Well, then again, it depends on your point of view. Some people might say that they have common sense. They just, like you said, they just kind of want to, they kind of want to talk about it, but they're like, I'm not really gonna do that.
I don't know, man. It's like they listen to all the same kind of music. They dress the same. They wear the same kind of face paint and paint their nails. They write bad fucking poetry. Like it's essentially the same thing, but for younger kids who didn't really want to fully commit.
Well, I wasn't any of that. I was the skinny, undersized kid that that played football. So
Mm.
I mean, everybody. I knew a lot of popular kids, but I didn't hang around with them. And some of them would ask me, they say, why do you hang out with the people that you hang out with? Why don't you hang out with these people over here? Like everybody knows you. And I told them, I said, because the benefit of me hanging out with the friends that I have is that they're real friends. And when you're invisible, or the popular think you're invisible, you hear a whole lot of stuff they say about each other that they're not, that you guys aren't saying to your faces. I said, and
You
I
know,
told I said within the last week, I was like, within this past week, I know enough to start 5 different fist fights on this campus, at least, and 3 of them would have been between girls.
yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. I just I did want to point out that difference though, because it does matter. And the reason that I do that is because like being a goth, especially in the 80s and 90s, um, it was something that a lot of us took extremely seriously, like to a spectacularly unhealthy degree. Um, and you know, with emos, it's more like a lifestyle choice or fashion sense or whatever, you know. But with goths, it was very much um, identitarian, you know, kind of like we see today with the whole, you know, transing thing. Uh,
Right.
and the main difference is, again, kind of like the transing thing, is that if you were a goth, you either grew out of that shit and lived, or you did not survive your teen years. A lot of us are gone for stupid fucking selfish reasons, but yeah, that was the big thing. And then, you know, emos came along, and that's kind of why I make that joke about like they don't have the follow through, and I'm glad they don't, actually, because we'd have a lot more dead kids on our hands if they did. um and I'm glad that they don't, but I am going to make fun of them for it too.
Of course, you gotta have it both ways, right? with that said, with that said, moving on to the next article. Now, this one, I couldn't believe when I saw this one. And I was eating too, and I about spit my food out. So you know how over the last several months we've been reading about crazy. Well, not several months, but last several weeks we've been reading about crazy beauty rituals that that women and and some people are doing, to try to make themselves look attractive, especially that Brazilian chick that was putting her on, grounding up her poop and putting it on her face. That's you asked me if there's an article that I ever regret watching and reading. It's that one. I wish I had never found that article. Because I cannot get the picture of her putting that poop on her face. Ugh.
Yeah, you know, I regret you bringing that shit up.
Oh, now I feel better.
I think
But
everybody who heard about it regrets you bringing that shit up, so much so that I actually went to Beelzebub right after that show, and I was like, yeah, so could be worse, you guys. Larry could be here talking about shit facials.
well, I wasn't gonna do that to the pub. Oh, you're welcome, Lord, Aaron. But anyway, so we've got another beauty trend again. This time they're saying that you should eat dirt to make yourself look better. It has health benefits. Can't nobody make me stop eating it. By
Hmm.
Asia Grace. It's no longer their dirty little secret. Crunchers, as they're called, are folks with affinities for feasting on dirt, aren't hiding under rocks. Instead, shameless soil connoisseurs across the internet are proudly proclaiming the wellness and beauty benefits of chowing down on the ground. Um, okay. Want to improve your child's and your own gut health? Asked Mom Stephanie Adler, a fertility and hormone coach, of her TikTok followers in the closed caption of a post. Eat dirt. So this lady, this lady is telling parents to feed their children dirt. As if the WEF needs to get that idea. Since you like to talk about them on Saturdays.
Yeah, it's so. I know that there are people out there who eat dirt. Some of them, and with a lot of them, it's a compulsion. Anna, that Star Wars girl, is on record many times saying that she eats dirt. She gets made fun of it by her friends a lot, or fun of for it rather.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, it's I don't get it myself. Like I mean, like most young boys when I was like 4, 5, 6 years old. Yeah, I ate some dirt. You know, I also made mud pies and made other people eat them. You know, it's like, what do you want? It was the 80s.
That's what I'm about to say. I was about to say, ain't nobody ever made me eat dirt. In fact, the last guy that thought he was going to try to bully me, make me do anything close to that, he found himself in a trash can and was rolling down the hill at our school and never messed
Yeah.
with me again.
I'm pretty sure I've mentioned this before, but I was a dick as a kid. So, but yeah, like I think most boys, at least, and probably a lot of girls, have tried it at some point. My own youngest kid used to chew on rocks, broke a couple of her baby teeth that way. You know, we couldn't get her to stop until she did. One day she just stopped doing it. You know, and I mean like the little gravelly pebbles that you find in like a gravel drive, not like full on, you know, fist-sized rocks or anything. But yeah, she just popped a couple of those into her mouth and chew on them. You know, when she was like 2, it was the weirdest damn thing.
Maybe I should give it to my kids and I'll get some milk. I mean, who needs Captain Crunch when I can just go outside and grab some rocks and put it in a bowl, some milk, and say, here, you two.
Yeah. But it's not a thing that happens anymore, right? Like you might try it as a kid, just like you might eat an earthworm on a dare as a kid. But
No,
but for
I never
most
did
of
either.
us, this is not. Oh man, you had a boring childhood.
Yeah, boring. I was too busy getting into fights. So,
Yeah, I was having adventures, folks.
well, let's see.
So,
Okay, so at least this lady is saying, I'm guessing maybe the dirt has been cleaned. 1 teaspoon of organic biodynamic soil has more microorganisms than humans on Earth, the pro wrote as a baby munched dry mud on the ground. The ground gourmands with much more discerning palates who'd rather dine on designer diet rather than fistfuls from their backyards can purchase edible land online via platforms like Amazon and Etsy.
oh, that's retarded. It's not. There's no such. If you're not an earthworm, it's not fucking edible.
Yeah, sacks of the surface, typically made available in the form of ingestible clay, can range in cost from around $11 to $27, depending on the quality and the quantity. Let's see what Stephanie has to say. Just gonna let him eat. That looks like horse manure, like a nugget.
Hey, it could be mud, you know, like a dirt clod or something.
It could be worse. It could be flaming cobras or their poop. Anyway,
that right there, what you're looking at there, right? That's not dirt. That's fucking potted plant soil.
That's what I was about to say. That's definitely not dirt. Let's see. One Amazon vendor touts their $11.99 edible red clay as an anti-aging tool, claiming it unclogged the pores from the sebum, tightens pores, and has anti-aging effects. Kind of doubt that. But yeah,
is it just me, or are people just like collectively getting worse in the crazy department?
No, it ain't just you.
Pregnant with all 4 of my kids. I would eat this all day and not even eat no food.
Hold on. You try it. There.
People be peopling. Yes, that's fair. Oh man, yeah, chewing on anything hard like ice, I imagine is probably less so, just because you know when it enters your mouth, it starts to melt because of the temperature of the inside of your mouth. But yeah, chewing on anything hard like that can fuck up your teeth real good. If nothing else, puts microfissures in the enamel.
People can't hear if you're talking over the video.
There was no sound. I thought you were dicking around with something.
No, you didn't hear it. Why didn't you tell me?
I thought you were getting this set up. That's why I was talking.
Oh,
Yeah, there's no sound.
well, I guess it's probably because maybe ticker tocker. I don't know. What about through here? Nothing.
No.
Well, I ain't gonna worry about it. Well, anyway, people love eating dirt. There you go. The end.
It's a good. It's that's a great story, beginning to end. People love eating dirt. The end.
Well, this one, you ain't gonna find. You're not gonna find so loving and endearing because it's about old people getting a lot of love and spreading STIs. Sex crazed seniors are responsible for an alarming STI epidemic. Here are the horniest states.
I have talked about this on Screaming Into the Void repeatedly. Old people fuck, and they fuck a lot, and they're not that concerned with syphilis at their age.
No, I told you what my well, one of my in-laws does is she works for a company that helps elderly men, get it up, and they service a few old senior living apartments in Florida, and they they come in and they have to disinfect the chairs because a lot of them were coming in with herpes and chlamydia and stuff. They were just passing it around to each other.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes to the staff.
Yeah. Syphilis is called the Great Pretender. Yeah, and there's a resurgence of
Amira.
that. Oh boy.
Their penises, Amira. That's what they get up. What she asked. We call them the blue pill men.
Yeah. So but yeah, my in-law that works for the company that does this, she was like, because of course they don't want to catch anything, and she was just like, it got so bad that every client that they had that came in had something, and so they just they basically had to spray the chairs down with bleach.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, they're blaming. Now I don't believe this. I don't believe that. I mean, I know we have a lot of elderly people because of the baby boomers and stuff like that, but I don't believe that it's a bunch of sex crazed elderly people running around the entire country infecting people.
No, I'd wager it's probably localized. I mean, the epidemics are probably very real, but it's probably not. You got to keep in mind these are old people. They don't travel that much, so it's probably localized within whatever community that they live in. It's just happening everywhere. Is the thing.
Thought you was safe sleeping with a 93-year-old. You think she ain't getting none? She is.
Yeah, probably with your great grandfather.
or your best friend. These days, you never know. Shoot, or the emo kid around the corner. Well, my life is over anyway. I might as well just go ahead and get laid by the 70-year-old.
I mean, what is it that Al Bundy used to say all the time? It's like he always wanted to die, right? With a slice of pizza in one hand and a greasy hooter in the other. Oh, Suka, you better run. She knows. Statistics of hip replacement. I'd actually be more concerned with like how many people have done like irreparable damages, how many fatalities and severe injuries that we're getting from things like that. Because I imagine they're probably pretty adventurous even in their old age, right? Falling in the shower is totally a thing that happens in retirement communities, and sometimes there are witnesses present in the shower with you. So, yeah. Yeah, it is what it is. They're not going to stop, though. They're definitely not going to stop. So, some of these guys get more action. like, well, funny
Man, I'm
thing
sitting there
about that is
talking.
that Gen Z and young. Oh yeah,
Sorry, go
you've been.
ahead,
Have you? I thought you were muted, so I just kept
man.
going.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm sitting there talking. I'm like, why is he talking over me? Oh shoot, I'm muted. I don't even know how that happened.
Yeah.
But no, what I was saying is that the people who are helping them be able to perform, they're not going to stop doing this. There's too much money in it. Like I said, the baby
Oh yeah.
boomers alone, you're looking at a fortune, and then you got Gen X after that, and Gen X, of course, was down for getting down. So I mean, like you said, it's never really going to go away because I mean, it's
Not till they start dying. Yeah.
and then they'll just go ahead and help the younger generation. So there's always going to be, some old person that can't get it up, or some young person with some unfortunate condition. So, and I have
Sure.
no
Sure.
idea.
That
Mhm.
there's always going to be a market for that. But like what I was getting at was that Gen Z is actually one of the least what's the word I'm looking for? Promiscuous generations, and a lot of that has to do with that the fact that they're paranoid about each other now, and they're completely cut off from each other socially.
Yeah,
It's all digital interaction with each other, so they're not actually having sex in a lot of cases, but they're also not interacting with other human beings in a lot of cases too. It's a double-edged sword, but the old people are still banging.
yeah, and they're using baby oil.
Yeah. As long as they don't get mixed
Diddy
up with the
Kong.
Vicks Vapor Rub, they'll be fine.
Amir's got a point. I was looking at reading a report the other day, and they were just saying that even people are even getting tired. They're not even responding on dating apps anymore. They're just like they're done with it. They're done with the whole thing.
Yeah.
And we've really come to an environment where people aren't even you're scared to even talk to somebody. I see a lot of videos with a lot of angry women complaining about men that won't walk up to them and talk to them. And it's like, well, what's the guy supposed to do? Because if you're not attracted to him, you're pulling out your phone. If you're a TikToker or something and you're looking for a clip, this guy just went viral just for telling you look pretty.
Mhm.
And you're calling him who knows what. So, these things run through a guy's mind. And like you said, dating apps, it's just so easy for them to swipe left on you. And just certain types of men as they call the 666 type, over 6 feet tall, um, 6 figures or more. And I forgot what the other 6 was
6 inches.
for. Yeah, at least at least, right? But
Yeah.
and it was funny too because I got nostalgic and I went on the Lapeef network and I watched some of Amira's old videos. A lot of you guys may not know Amira used to be a part of the Lapeef network, and there's a whole section of she used to do a Sunday night show with them, and and I had some insomnia last night, and I was up watching, and I was like, man, this video is like she did that video like 2 years ago, and everything that she said in her opening statements was in that article that I read 3 days ago.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I thought that 2 years things would be any different, and it's not. In fact, it's gotten worse.
Indeed. Indeed. Regarding like dating apps, I've used dating apps in the past. I don't anymore because there were some issues aside from the fact that it's a wholly degenerate practice. Um, so aside from that, there were other issues like Tinder, for example. I was on Tinder for like I think 4 years after my divorce was finalized because I went a little crazy, But I think you guys know that. But and anyway, there came a day though. One time it wouldn't let me log in, and instead redirected me to a page where I had to click agree or not agree. except that I don't read Korean, so I had no idea what I was agreeing or not agreeing to, and that was the last time I opened that app.
Good.
Because I was like, "Fuck no."
Good. All right. Now I know we're almost at an hour already. I wanted to show this to you, and I and this is going a whole nother lane. So as you guys can tell by these news articles, they're they're like spectrums apart from each other. But this one is a doozy, and it's for a different reason. This lady in Thailand I guess she went to use the restroom, right? She went to the bathroom, and she said she felt a piercing. She felt something on her leg. It was a reticulated python that decided she was dinner. She spent the next 2 hours wrapped up with this thing, with it trying to kill her, screaming for help.
Wow. She was probably not screaming the whole time.
Oh no, she was screaming.
While I was
Well, I
washing
mean,
the
as much as
dishes,
she
I was
could.
also scooping water. As soon as I sat down, the snake bit me. At first, I thought it was a cockroach, but then I saw it was a snake, and it started constricting me tightly. I fought with it for quite a while.
Now get this. Now she said it bit her. What size of cockroach? First of all, I've never heard of a cockroach biting a person.
No, they will
size-
if fuck with them enough.
But what are the size of their cockroaches? Because pythons don't have small fangs. So that makes me wonder, how big are the freaking cockroaches out there? For her to think that a bite from a reticulated python, which is one of the biggest pythons in the world, one of the two biggest, I think it's reticulated and Burmese. So that makes me like, God grief.
Since around 8:30.
Since 8:30? How many hours has it been? It's 10 p.m. now.
At first, I grabbed its head, trying to make it let go, but it wouldn't. It just kept squeezing tighter. When I saw it start to slither, I let go of its head, and it slithered away, then came back, and finally went down below.
The caretaker of the dorm, an elderly man, shouted that there was an elderly woman inside. She was calling for help because the snake was constricting her. So we kicked the door open and we saw the elderly woman being constricted by the snake on the floor. It must have been for quite
That's a
some
good sized bite.
He had already started to turn pale.
And her
Oh,
Okay,
Lord,
so-
speaking of the cockroach.
So, yeah, that's so for constrictors, that's the first thing they do. They also strike just like colubrids and vipers and such, except that they have fangs, they're rear fanged animals, and the reason for that is that they don't inject venom with those fangs. Those fangs act as hooks so that when they do bite onto something, it can't get away. But the bite's just there to give the snake a grip so it can start coiling itself around you so that the prey doesn't get away from it. They will hold on to that until it's time to, once they've got a significant amount of coilage around a prey, rather. Although, to be fair, like that was an old Thai woman. She's probably not very large.
So I mean, the snake knew it could take her.
Right. And so at that point, it'll release its bite because it doesn't need to hold you with its teeth anymore, and then it starts head first to swallow. The whole time, though, while it's moving incrementally and increasing the grip of the constriction, to the point of powdering bones, kind of thing. Which is why I'm surprised she got away. Number one, and number two, because if the snake was hungry enough, even if she was too large for it, which is possible, it would have died choking on her rather than let her go if it was hungry enough.
Maybe she was so skinny that it couldn't get her, like it was going to take more time because she was so skinny. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Suka, they do prefer you alive or to be dying while they're swallowing you, because like I said, it's a slow, painful process. They crush the life out of their prey and begin the swallowing, usually while the animal is still alive. Although at that point you might suffocate inside the animal. So you wouldn't be alive forever. It's a very awful way to go.
Yeah, it's more nutrients to have you alive, and it probably thinks that it's eating your soul too.
Mhm.
So
Well, that's the thing, Andy. Sometimes they do, though. Most of the time, yeah, they don't attack things that they can't swallow, but they can. So, like, I'm sure you know this, Andy, but they have these jaws that unhinge, right? So they can open their mouth at a much wider way than people can, because they can unhook their jaw, and also their mandible, their lower mandible, is not connected across with a piece of bone or cartilage like ours is. So those two pieces that come down actually can spread open, and it basically stretches the chin skin, right? They can open their mouths really wide, and if it can fit in their mouth, it can fit in their body as far as they're concerned. There was a magic card years ago that said something about that. I forget what the card was, but it was a snake, and the flavor text said that if you're smaller than this snake, it sees you as food. If you're bigger, it sees you as a lot of food.
yeah, yeah. And like Amira said, it's easier when you're alive. I mean, yeah, who,
Mhm.
what animal is gonna want to eat a body going through rigor mortis?
Mhm. Now, to be fair, like in most cases, like rigor mortis doesn't set in for like what 12 to 18 hours, something like that after death. But with these bigger animals, these bigger constrictor types, right? Part of the reason that they get started while you're still alive is because it takes them fucking forever to swallow their food, right? It could be hours and hours before they finally get you past the mouth and into their gullet. Wholly, that is. And so yeah, the less time, the longer that you're still like loose and soft and fleshy and shit like that, instead of like, rock hard, the easier time they have to swallow you.
Mm. Well, here's our last article before we get down to business. So of course this happened in Texas. Man gets in shootout with a robot, loses, and is then arrested in wild video. Wild footage showed a Texas man's outrageous attempt to outsmart a police robot that ended with him being tear gassed and rammed by the droid. Felix De La Rosa, 39, was arrested after he opened fire on police in Lubbock, Texas, with the incident turning into a SWAT standoff. De La Rosa opened fire on anti-gang cops who tried to make contact with him at a hotel he was staying at and repeatedly refused orders from SWAT negotiators. This prompted the police to send their bomb squad robot, which was also shot at by the wanted man. As the bot approached De La Rosa's room, the former inmate could be seen stepping outside to cover the bot with what appeared to be either a blanket or a towel. He thought he was going to go to sleep. De La Rosa
It's not a
appeared to
parrot.
think, yeah, but that dead parrot. Uh, De La Rosa appeared to think that he had bested the machine, but the officer controlling it shook off the fabric and deployed tear gas into his room through the open window. The convict could be seen crawling out through the open window and dropping onto the floor. A disoriented De La Rosa covered his face and struggled to get up, but the robot then started driving over to him, pulling his shorts down and exposing his red underwear. It continued to
Jeez.
ram him. It continued to ram him good. And
In
eventually
Soviet Russia, vibrator fucks you.
and eventually pinned him against the wall so that the SWAT officers could have their turn. I mean, could safely move in and make an arrest. Yeah, I bet they did. De La Rosa is now charged with aggravated assault against a public servant following a standoff that lasted nearly. They're calling the robot a
Wait a
public.
minute. Wait a minute. No, that's not okay. Attempted destruction of police property, I could buy, but it's not a fucking public servant. It's a fucking robot.
So
That's
Let me just see what this is.
Developing news in central Lubbock, where police are on the scene right now. The reported shooting. LPD says at least one person has suffered moderate injuries near Avenue Q and Mac Davis Lane. Officers got the call to respond there just before 5 o'clock. We will keep you updated as we learn more.
Okay, so that's him. He looks.
Why does he look
He
like
looks
he
familiar.
looks like dime store Walton Goggins?
He looks like there's an actor that looks like him.
Yeah, Walton Goggins.
Yeah, his hair. He's going Super Saiyan without the Super Saiyans. I guess he just went mystic. Anyway, police had originally gone to look for De La Rosa because there was a warrant out for his arrest due to a parole violation for tampering with his electronic monitoring device. In 2017, De La Rosa was sentenced to 20 years in prison for manufacturing and delivering a controlled substance. De La Rosa was released from prison and placed on parole in April 2022, according to state prison records. Wow.
Fucking robots, man.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, you don't attack anything that says, police on it. That was stupid of him. That was really, really dumb. But they shouldn't be charging him with assaulting an officer. That's fucking retarded.
Yeah, that was really stupid. All right, folks. With that said, on to Jeepers Creepers. Now, you how many of the movies have you seen?
I have the first 3. I haven't seen the latest straight to Hulu one because I've heard very, very bad things about how it is. But yeah, I've seen the first 3. I haven't seen the third one that often, so I don't remember that one as clearly. But the first and second one I watched quite a bit.
I've only seen the first 2. I heard the third one wasn't really good.
Oh no, it sucks. Well, I haven't watched it as much. It's not good, but it's not like the worst thing ever. It's just that a lot of the lore that you hear about it either comes from that movie or the comic book spin-off stuff. Most of the like lore about like what the creeper is, where it came from, and all that stuff is, first of all, still kind of mythologized and not like set in stone. It's just people basically speculating about the damn thing. But most of that shit came from the comic books, and then to a lesser degree that third movie.
Right. Now, do you know where the inspiration behind Jeepers Creepers was or is?
I have some theories that might not be so popular. So about the writer and director of Jeepers Creepers, right?
No.
Okay. So this is a dude by the name of Victor Salva. He also wrote and directed a movie called Powder. You might remember about the kid who was an albino with the electrical shit, and a bunch of other movies, usually involving kids, usually involving bad things happening to kids in violating ways. For instance, Powder, he wrote on a roll of toilet paper in prison where he was spending time for being a convicted child molester. For some things that happened offset, and one particular case in one of his earlier movies where he allegedly accosted. I say allegedly because I don't remember the exact specific circumstances of what happened, but he was in fact convicted and sent to prison. So I guess it's not allegedly. But there was an issue with one of his underage cast members. And yeah, it's just it's really some ugly shit. Hey, Dom. And I imagine that while he probably, I don't know exactly where he claims that he got the idea for Jeepers Creepers from, but I imagine that in some of it is his subconscious manifesting, honestly.
Nope. It is based off of real murder.
Yeah. But like I said, he's got a history of making movies about kids who have been abused or violated in some way.
Yeah, but this has nothing to do with kids. This had to do with a very grown couple, and the incident happened on Easter in 1990. I'm gonna read it. On Easter Sunday, April 5th, 1990, Ray and Marie Thornton were on a traditional weekend drive along Snow Prairie Road, a rural highway 12 miles outside Coldwater, Michigan. In the rearview mirror, a Chevy van suddenly appeared, driving aggressively before overtaking them. The couple had been playing. Hey Lou. The couple had been playing a game of making slogans from the license plates of passing cars. So when the van sped past, Marie saw the plate beginning GZ and remarked, "Geez, he's in a hurry." As they approached an abandoned schoolhouse, the Thorntons saw the same van parked on the side of the building. Then Marie caught a disturbing sight. The driver was holding what appeared to be a bloody sheet, walking towards the rear of the schoolhouse. Marie, although shocked, was not quite sure what she had just witnessed, and they discussed calling the police. Ray Thornton saw an ominous van approaching again in his rear view. Gaining speed rapidly, the same Chevy van they had just seen at the schoolhouse now eerily rolled their rear bumper for the next 2 miles, inspiring the opening scene of the 2001 horror movie Jeepers Creepers. So,
inspiring seems like a stretch. That's straight up the opening scene.
Yeah. Now, if you want to see what they look like, tell me that this couple wouldn't scare the hell out of you.
It's Herman Munster. That dude he looks like Fred Gwynn, like a young Fred Gwynn.
Yeah, I jumped out my seat when I pulled this article up and saw them. I was like,
and these were the people who suspected who suspected something untoward was happening.
Yeah, that's them.
Huh.
I mean, it makes you wonder it makes you wonder what they've done that we don't know about.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, they might just be like weird looking people. That happens too.
But
sometimes people get the shitty luck of the draw with genetics, you know. It happens. John Merrick, for example.
I mean, she just looks too happy to be there. And the smile. I mean, look at that. That is creepy, man. That's just creepy. But I think I did hear something about that case, though. I just didn't connect it with the movie. Yeah. Well, I haven't forgotten about the movie at all, although that almost made me forget. And also, it's always nice to see Luke Casley also in the chat. You know, you guys. By the way, if you haven't had a chance to check out Lou's channel and subscribe, she's got some very good relationship content on there. Aaron, I hope you told Lou what I asked you to tell her last week, because I forgot. I can't remember what it was. But here are 41 facts about the movie Jeepers Creepers.
Hey, devil.
Oh, okay. So they didn't.
Is there white theory? You racist.
What? Wait. Run, Suka. Suka, if I were you, I'd run. Get you some crucifixes. Go take a bath with some holy water. Go do something. But yeah, you got, like I said, and Lou, if you can, feel free to put your information, your channel information, and for I forget her name, the substitute teacher. I can't believe I forgot her name.
Maggie.
Yeah, Maggie. You could put Maggie's information in there in the chat as well. But now see, here's where I disagree. Jeepers Creepers was inspired by a 1938 song, the Jeepers Creepers. Yeah, maybe in part, but no. The movie's success led to 2 sequels and a dedicated fan base.
3 sequels now.
Yeah, and in horror genre and memorable villain. Jeepers Creepers remains a Halloween favorite and a classic in the genre. The movie was inspired by a song. As we just found out, no. The film was shot in 24 days.
I think probably there was more than one inspiration. Like he was probably had that song running through his head when he read about the story about the actual murder case. And yeah, it wouldn't surprise me at all.
He probably got it from looking at that photo of that couple, looking at the
Either that or he has not been telling the same story each time he's asked what it was inspired on.
I don't know, but I mean that couple. I mean, Jeepers Creepers. Where'd you get them eyes? I mean, both of them just. Ugh. I feel safe sleeping with in the bed with my wife tonight and my cat because I couldn't be. After watching that video, I couldn't be there. All right, cool. Cool, Devil. We'll see you when you get here. So the film was shot in 24 days due to budget constraints. The movie was filmed quickly on a tight schedule. Well, you think about it. I mean, 24 days. They did some good work to film it in just that amount of time. But then again, there's other movies that have filmed not much longer than 30 days, whatnot. I mean, I think back in the day. Yeah, I think back in the day, and when I say back in the day, like the 90s, I think 30 days, normally 30 to 45 days was typical. So
yeah, and a lot of that was due to budget constraints, right? You got so much money and so much time in which to do that, and if you went over in time, then the budget didn't allow for that. And like that's what happened with the Masters of the Universe in the 80s. They ran out of money, and so the studio came in and shut them down. That's why the whole end of the movie is kind of jacked up, is because they did what they could to film an ending.
The Creeper's truck is a significant element of the film. Well, we know that. The 1941 Chevy COE cab over engine truck becomes the iconic symbol associated with the creepy antagonist. Well, I guess he does his own maintenance on it. The Creeper has a specific scent. One of the distinct characteristics of the Creeper is the smell of rotting flesh that accompanies his presence. Well, I mean, if he's stealing other body parts, I mean, it's probably not his flesh people are smelling.
Well, it isn't. Nothing about him is like the original piece, because he's ancient, like caveman times ancient. So when a part wears out, like he's essentially immortal. He can't die.
Right.
But if enough of his body rots and becomes useless, he won't be able to move around much either. So he goes out and he replaces things that he needs. And so, yeah, like things that he hasn't needed to replace would still be kind of rotting. Yeah. So he's always going to smell like pieces of people.
Yeah. Jonathan Breck brought the Creeper to life. So actor Jonathan Breck, who went through hours of makeup and prosthetics to transform into the menacing creature. The movie's ending was purposefully left ambiguous. There was nothing ambiguous about that ending.
Yeah, I don't know where they're getting that ambiguous shit from. It kills Derry. That's the end of the movie. The guy he was after, he gets, and then he takes his eyes. That's it. That's like that was the whole point of him going after Derry in the first place, and he wins.
Yeah. I mean, especially at the ending when you hear Derry crying, he's screaming for his life, and then all of a sudden silence.
Yeah. Yeah, there was nothing ambiguous about that.
It draws inspiration from classic horror films. And that could be true. Halloween, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Night of the Living Dead. Yeah, that explains the Creeper.
I could see a lot of Texas Chainsaw Massacre influence on this.
Oh yeah, definitely. That the atmosphere, definitely. Halloween, he can't die. The way he smells and looks. Night of the Living Dead. Yeah. The movie faced controversy due to the director's past, as you just spoke about. The film's original title was "Here Comes the Boogeyman." Jeepers Creepers.
Yeah, that's worse. That Jeepers Creepers is much better. That's a dumb fucking title.
The Creeper's appearance was based on a sketch by Victor Salva.
Victor Salva is the writer and director of this movie, by the way.
Right. Jeepers Creepers. I used to call it Jappers Crappers when it came out. But Jeepers Creepers was a box office success. Yeah, it was. Um, that movie, and there was another one called Darkness Falls. I
Oh,
will
I hate
never
that
forget.
movie.
Man, I loved it, but I hated it for a different reason. I
It's
took my
so
little
bad.
cousin. My little cousin wanted to see it, and it was a Friday night. So I saw a lot of couples, and I was like, yeah, it's a date night. The theater was packed. That girl dug her nails into my arm so bad that she drew blood.
Really?
Oh yeah, because all the
That-
jump scares and stuff. It like you like horror.
I do, but I
But
like fun horrible movies. That one was just stupid.
no, it was scary enough, and I know it was scary enough because when I left, every guy that had a date of course I wasn't dating my cousin. When we all walked out, you could tell which men were on a date and which guys were just hanging out, just groups of guys, going to the movie. Because every guy that showed up with a girl, when we all walked out, all of us were bleeding. One guy was bleeding from the neck because his girlfriend grabbed his neck and dug all her nails into his neck. This guy was bleeding. Guys was bleeding from the head. I looked down, my forearms bleeding because of my cousin. So for that reason, I'll never forget Darkness Falls. And if folks, and for those of you who may not know what it's about, it's basically a story about the tooth fairy going bad.
Kind of.
So
Kind of. It's about a woman who was accused of being a witch and accused of killing children way back in the 1700s or whatever. And when the townsfolk like punished her and put her to death or whatever, she cursed them. And now she comes back as this like distorted tooth fairy-esque ghost that eats anybody that sees her. And the only reason
like
I
the
watched
Blair
that was
Witch,
because Emma
basically.
Caulfield was in it.
Yeah, like the Blair Witch. Anybody's and have you ever seen the Blair Witch?
Yes, that movie sucks too.
Mm.
I don't like it. It's dumb.
Well, getting back to the Creeper. The Creeper's main weapon is a set of sharp throwing stars, which he made dang good use of in the second one.
Those are actually made out of
Bone, isn't it?
things that
Human
he's
bone.
excreted. Yeah, like those are biological weapons in the purest sense of the term.
Did you say stuff that he excreted?
Yep, that kind of resin that coats it. Like the sharp part is bone, but the sort of resin that coats them and hands it and sort of like holds it all together. And then like also when you go into when Derry ends up in his killing chamber and he sees all those people on the walls, right? And they're all held up there by some kind of excretion. Yeah, he's excreting something disgusting.
Oh, I came in at the perfect time.
Hi,
Yeah,
devil.
we're talking about one of your minions using his poop to hold people up and make throwing stars. So
What else would you use poop for?
I mean,
I'm the wrong person to ask. Because I don't know. But from what I hear, there's people
Hey
out there that
guys.
like to make a lot of use out of it. So the film's original screenplay was much darker. The initial draft of the script had a much darker tone. How could you get any darker than what it was? I mean, it was dark as hell. So, but the final version incorporated more humor and suspense. I don't see how, because it creeped me out. I didn't think the first one was funny at all. I thought the second one was funny, but not the first one. The songs, yes, we know about that. The Creeper has wings. We know he has wings. The film's tagline is "Fear takes a road trip."
They, if you read like the back comics and stuff to it, the creeper is actually like from Aztec times. Like it's literally like an Aztec god or something like that. So it goes, yeah, like
I think
way back.
that
You were saying.
I think that's a little it's a little ambiguous about it then, because the stuff I was reading was talking about caveman times, like way before the Aztecs. Like it's that old.
But then I also said, well, what was he using to put himself together? There was a lot less people. So I'm like, I doubt he was taking down a brontosaurus with his throwing stars.
He had teeth too. You know, like the few times that you get a look at his teeth, he's always replacing body parts, right? But he's got sharp teeth, right? Those are not human teeth. He didn't take those from a human being.
No. And,
He-
and now that I think about it, he used more than throwing stars. Didn't he have he had a hatchet or a tomahawk or something? I mean, the guy
Yeah.
was armed to the teeth.
Yeah, he had a few different things. Yeah.
You think he
I think
never
in
heard
the-
of a Smith and Wesson?
So I think in the end of the third one, he gets killed by a spear made out of one of the weapons he left behind in the second one.
I don't think he necessarily gets killed. He gets pinned.
Right.
As long as it
Yeah,
stays in him, he can't get off of it. It's like, yeah.
Yeah. But it has something to do with the fact that it was something that he made. And since he made it out of whatever fucking goo he creates, I guess, it sort of negates him a little bit. And so they pin him. But then he kind of just does his whole 27-year hibernation thing after that.
Yeah.
You think that would give him a clue? Like, I would put his ass in a fucking goddamn metal casket, pin him with as much of that shit as you can to the bottom of it, and bury it fucking 27 feet down. You know, like,
Or yeah, that's one way to do it. Or you chop him into a bunch of pieces and put each piece in a different box and bury them in different locations.
Yeah, and that's what I didn't understand about the second one. Why would you just pin him to your barn? Like they could have put him in a wood chipper, something.
Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird thing. There is. So there's a certain amount of logic between the first one and the second one. The second one, obviously, like all sequels, tries to update and upgrade and outdo the first movie and all that shit. And so there is some like goofiness that comes along with that. The third one doesn't really logically follow any of the fucking rules that came from the first two. So they're kind of all over the place. It's an interesting character. It's an interesting creature. But I think that the movies aren't wholly consistent, like a lot of horror movie sequels aren't.
Well, let's see. It was so he wakes up every 23 years, right? The setting of the film is in rural Florida. I didn't know that. I thought it might have been Wisconsin.
Well, we knew they were in the South from the first movie.
That's right.
Right. But we didn't know where exactly in the South. I always thought it was Alabama or Georgia or something.
The film's budget was $10 million. So $10 million budget, and they did it within 24 days. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. What we know about the tagline, it blends different horror genres. I mean, there's not much to say about this. The truck is adorned with ancient symbols. You could have said that earlier.
It's hard to see them though, because the truck's also covered with gore and grime that's like really, really old. You know, it's kind of hard to see any of the detail on it. Plus, aside from the chase scene at the beginning, the only time you see that truck after that is at night.
Well, he wasn't able to get to the car wash with the 23 years sleep, you know?
Yeah,
right? He only has like 3 days of wakeness too, right?
He has to prioritize.
Wait, he's only awake for 3 days, and then he hibernates for 23 years.
Which is so stupid. Like, literally, so you wake up just to get new body parts so you could sleep. It makes no sense. Like,
yeah, I'll give you that, Devil. That is one of the dumbest fucking things in horror movie history. It's like, oh shit, my eyes went bad while I was asleep this last time. I better go find this dairy kid and take his, and then go take a nap.
Yeah.
So, like, that's the thing, is the second movie takes place in that same time period. Like, it's literally like a day or half a day after he kills Derry. Right. That's why it was able to, still be active and not like, that the second movie doesn't take place, 2 decades later.
Years later,
yeah. Does take place years later.
Right. Because it has to piggyback off the ending of the second film.
Right.
Right. Because it has to piggyback off the ending of the second film. Right. Because it has to piggyback off the ending of the second film. Right. Because it has to piggyback off the ending of the second film. Right. Because it has to piggyback off the ending of the second film.
Yeah. Yeah, but that the second sequel is takes place, within a day of the first movie.
Right. No, I got that. It was produced by Francis Ford Coppola. Coppola produced that with that director.
Coppola produces a lot of things you wouldn't necessarily think that he does.
Well, I might. I'm just saying, I guess it's just Bram Stoker's Dracula, man. Just that movie is just an all time great for me. Um, just so well done. But I'll get to that next week. The film's original runtime was much longer. The final version was edited down from a longer cut to increase its pacing and intensity. So that tells me that there was probably some long, boring spots. Probably the beginning, maybe after the first chase. Who knows? Let's see. The film's soundtrack complements its eerie atmosphere. True. The creeper's true nature is slowly revealed throughout the film. As the story unfolds, more details about the creeper's abilities and motives are unveiled. It was like that black lady. Where'd you get
Yeah.
those eyes?
Well, like that's true though too, because like when the movie opens, it's very much in the vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or like Wrong Turn or something like that. You would just assume that this is some psychotic creep in a truck. Right.
Mhm.
The weird shit doesn't happen until after he's been run over several times by the Gina character. And when he's trying to get up, one of his wings pops through his coat.
Yeah, and then you realize, oh crap. Yeah.
They're just like, oh fuck, this guy's not human.
Well, it's like you said, it's going here. Jeepers Creepers showcases practical effects. So
Yeah.
I mean, and if the effects were practical, for what it was worth, the characters'
Those wings
names,
looked really good.
yeah, the characters' names have a symbolic significance. The names of the main characters, Trish and Derry, are derived from the names Patricia and
Trish,
Darius, which means noble and upholder of goodness, respectively. Oh well, it should have been no eyes for Derry. The creeper is an immortal being. The film reveals that the creeper is an ancient creature that resurfaces periodically to feed and regenerate its body, just like Devil said.
Yep. So that actually, if you go back up to that last one, the one about the names, that actually does fit their characters though. Like Derry's the one who wants to investigate. Derry's the one who wants to help the person that he finds in the basement, right? Derry's the one who wants to, go to the cops. So he would be the upholder of goodness, right? Whereas Trish does everything she can to protect her brother, including offering to trade places with him and sacrifice herself, which would fall in line with the whole noble thing. Like
Right.
the names are pretty well chosen.
Right. Spawn's merchandise, I believe that. I couldn't buy a creeper though; it's just too creepy. Um, the, the movie cinematography adds to the tension. The skill use of lighting, the angles and the shadows. Yeah, because that was a very dark film. Um, wow, it initially was an NC. I can believe it having initially being NC-17, and no telling what the original cut looks like. It was edited to secure an R rating. No telling what that thing was doing. It explores the
Yeah.
concept of fear. The movie boasts tense and thrilling chase sequences. We all know that. The creeper has become an iconic. I mean, a lot of this we pretty much know.
Yeah.
I think in some cases it kind of that list kind of repeats itself a few times, but I definitely think that Jeepers Creepers, and believe it or not, I actually the first one was better than the second one, but I actually prefer the second one to the first one, and I think because of just the amount of humor that I found in the second one.
Well,
The first one, I was just totally creeped out the whole time, and I was really invested in Derry, and I was like, man, I hope this damn thing doesn't get him, and I was pissed when it did.
The problem you have with these this particular movie series is When you get to the second one, you know what it is. In the first one, there's this big thing. What is this creature? What does it want? All this stuff. You learn all that. And so then by the second one, it kind of the cat's out of the bag for it, you know? It's after body parts. It's unstoppable. That's the problem with it is I think that they should have kind of unraveled the mystery of it more slowly, maybe. I don't know. But they also probably didn't expect it to be as big of a success as it was. You know, they probably were thinking it was going to be like a lot of horror movies where it got a, you know, modicum, but it actually, like you said, hit pretty big for the budget, especially, and how much they put into it. And so they, you know, they had already kind of shot their load, I guess you'd say, as far as the mystery of the creeper.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's true of a lot of like horror movies though too. Like that first one, if they don't show you, it's kind of the reason that part of the reason I suspect that James Cameron took the direction he did with Aliens and made it an action movie instead of a horror movie, because cat's out of the bag after the first one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's very well possible. Yeah. There's if you plan ahead, if you know that your movie, or you assume your movie's going to do well, like I said, it would be better for most of these horror movies to try to slow play what they're actually working with. And I think one of the most genius things about Jaws, and most people regard it as such, is the fact they don't show you the shark till almost the end. I know that wasn't by design. That was because they couldn't get the damn thing to work. But that was the genius, is that you never got to see the damn thing till it comes out the water and at Brody.
It was accidental genius.
Yeah, accidental genius.
Yeah. There was a lot of mechanical failure on the set of Jaws, and there are some shots of the shark in the water where it's not the mechanical thing. Spielberg actually retained the services of a married couple who dove and took footage for like National Geographic and shit like that of great whites, and a lot of that. Any of the live shark footage that you see in there is actually their footage that they caught.
Oh yeah.
Kind of stuff. So they would use that in place of the live shark wherever they could. But when you had to have like one of their actors in the scene with the shark, it had to be the mechanical one. And they did everything they could to, because like you do see it early on, like particularly the bit where it takes off the boater's leg in the lagoon.
Yeah.
But you only see it through the lens of the water. It's very, very shadowy. It's very, you know, like you don't make out a ton of detail on it. And they do that, like Devil was saying, because they couldn't get the thing to work right.
Yeah. Like I think actually if I think the plan was for that shot was the shark was supposed to come out just like it did for Brody and eat the dude off the boat. But they couldn't get it to actually come up, and that's why it was on a rail, and they just had it go underneath, so you just get to see it under the water, because they couldn't get the damn thing to actually come up and chomp on the dude. And
that was so effective.
Yeah, it like I said, it turned out to be probably one of the most
accidental genius.
Yeah, exactly. One of the key moments that is really apparent in the underwater footage, like Sam was saying, that was actual practical footage, is when Hooper's in the cage. When the shark attacks the cage and the shark's actually rolling around in the cage, that's actually, I believe, a tiger shark, and it was a miniature. They built a miniature cage with a miniature little person in it, like, and they had a big shark attack it, so that when they put it in the movie, you could see the scale of Bruce, the shark, to the cage. But it's actually, I believe, a tiger shark that did it. They
So that's the scene where Hooper has already escaped the cage and started swimming towards the bottom, and the shark's kind of stuck in between the bars, thrashing around trying to get out. The initial shot of the shark bumping into the cage and bending the bars in, they put a midget in a wetsuit and stuck him in a cage, and then slammed the robot shark directly into it. That's
So it was real clever the way they did that movie. Just on some of the stuff, like I said, using practical for some stuff and for others, it's smart.
And I wouldn't be surprised if and I would think it would be smart for them to use Jaws as well as some kind of reference for Jeepers Creepers. But with that said, now we can segue into Monsters Ball or Versus as we call it. So we already know about the Creeper, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now I do have now also you guys thanks to Devil sent me a link to a program that I'm working on. I wanted to have it today. I just had too much going on. But we're gonna spruce this whole Versus thing up. And I'm thankful Devil, you always come through in the clutch, man. But so we got some things that are in the works so that to give you guys better visuals and stuff, and because the list for Monsters Ball, when I drew it up, I think it was at 30, right, Sam? It was at 30.
The initial one that you sent to me was 40, and then like a couple days later you said, yeah, I've added like 6 more.
Yeah, well, it's almost at 100 now.
Damn.
I think it's like in the 60s, because there's so many monsters out there that I just forgot about as I was writing a list, and then I started looking through a list of, so it's at 58.
That's gonna be like 6 months worth of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but believe it or not, of all people, and when I say monsters, not every monster is supernatural. You've got some others, but there were people that took off the list because they're human. They're not going to last against these guys. But I have I can believe I forgot to put, well, some are human, like Voldemort. I put him on there. I put Beetlejuice on here.
Well, Beetlejuice is a ghost.
Still, regardless, I just put anybody that's got some kind of magical abilities. I even looked at the show Supernatural and took a character off of that. So I wanted to make it as robust as possible, and I realized I was like, okay, yeah, like you said, this is gonna go, because I wanted to go. I don't want it to just be a month and that's it. I wanted this to be an ongoing thing, and just about where I want that list to be. So
I know all about making a list and then it just keeps growing and growing and growing. Yep. My Devil's Angels my Devil's Angels list is up to 97 movies.
Nice.
Yeah. And
that's good though.
We've done 5. So I've got like 2.5, 3 years worth of movies there, essentially.
Well, that's good, man. So let's do this. So when we look at the powers, when we look at the list of powers that the Creeper has, it says nigh immortality, but the guy is immortal. He is immortal. So the whole nigh thing, I don't know where they're getting that. Superhuman strength, superhuman durability, superhuman endurance. Oh yeah. Weapons expertise. The guy he must have took wushu or something. I don't know, because I've seen him do some stuff like, okay, he obviously has some kind of training, or he ate somebody who did.
Well, that kind of brings us back to Devil's point about the logic of the monster, right? If he's only awake for a few days every 23 years, where the fuck is he going to learn how to fight? It's not he could. How did he travel to fucking Florida from like medieval Europe? It's all.
Well, if you look at the list, the list said he's awake for 23 days.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I got that wrong. Yeah, so it would have been awake for a month then, or close to.
But even then, it's who's gonna train him? It's not like he can roam up to some dude and be like, "Hey, that whole like kung fu shit you do? Would you mind giving me some lessons?"
I promise not to eat you afterwards.
Unless he absorbs knowledge from people that he's eaten.
That's very true. That very well could be possible. That's how I learned how to drive. I mean, it's not like he could go to the
right.
Yeah, could I get some driving lessons, guys?
Well, I'll tell you what.
You learned how to sew somewhere too.
Well, I'll tell you what. If he ever if he ever needs a new leg, you don't want to know Taekwondo at that point because he's gonna be looking for he's gonna take both pairs. Shoot, he might even decide he wants to be taller because it says the creature's only 6'1".
Well, the
He
saving
gets
grace,
fucking leg extensions.
the saving grace is that he can't come to California because there's no way that car would get past California without being hit. It's way too. It's not smog check
No,
on it. It not electric. He can't.
at this
You
point,
have people with a Prius.
the cops will pull him over and steal it. Did you pay your antique tax on this car? You know, let's see. He can smell fear. He's got dexterity, enhanced stealth, enhanced agility, enhanced reflexes. So yeah, he's a ninja. He moves like a ninja. No disrespect to anybody out there who might be one. Deadly accuracy, yeah, intimidation, taxidermy, flight, evolution and regeneration via organ consumption, high intelligence. Okay.
So that's actually with the smelling fear. While yes, he can smell fear. It isn't the fear itself that he's smelling. He needs to make his, and this is they bring this up in the second movie. He needs to make his potential victims afraid of him because that's what allows him to smell like not their fear, but whether or not they have organs that are A, compatible, or B, what he needs from them. Right. So it like his senses are extremely heightened. And I think he even uses his tongue to taste somebody to figure out if they've got anything he can use.
Yeah,
at one point.
He can't figure out what he needs from you till you give him a fear fart.
Pretty much.
That's when you let one of those squeakers out because you're just too damn scared. He goes, "Oh, there we go."
Yeah, which indicates that it's like while it's tied to a sense of smell, possibly a sense of taste, that there's some small psychic ability there too.
In the third one, doesn't he like lick the bus windows because of that? He's like crawling around on the bus trying to figure out what he wants from the kids, and he like
That's
I
the
think
second
licks the is that the second one?
Yeah,
He
it's the
licks
second one.
it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
he
so.
does because like he licks it and then he winks at one of the kids because he
Yeah.
tells them
Yeah.
to move aside. He's like, "Move aside," and he moves aside, and then he finds the one, and then I think then he licks the window.
Yeah.
And I think the movies actually run out of order of time because I think like you said, the first and the second one are right back to back, but the third one, I don't think it's 30 some odd years later, I think, or 20 odd years later. I think it's the 20 some years before the first movie is
It
how
might
it
be.
works out. I think it's the prior time he
prequel.
was awake. Yeah.
So it's a
I'm-
prequel.
Essentially, third one's I think a prequel to the other two.
I'm curious, Devil. Did you happen to watch the fourth one?
No. Isn't it like I think it's like completely not even like connected in a way or something like
I don't know. I haven't seen it.
yeah, I don't think anyone did.
I could watch it. It's on Hulu. I could if I wanted to, I guess. I just haven't because I've heard it's not good.
Yeah, I think it's pretty unanimous that no one liked it.
Mm. All right. Well, switching that off now we've got Pumpkinhead. Now I admit,
It's Sasquatch.
What's up?
I
Sasquatch?
admit, I've never watched Pumpkinhead. I'm not familiar with any of the movies. I know that he's a legendary character, but that's
Okay.
about it.
So, I haven't seen all the sequels. Like there are a handful of them, but essentially it's the same plot. Pumpkinhead is a vengeance demon, right? He is summoned by someone who wants vengeance on someone who wronged them or harmed somebody they loved or whatever. In the first movie, it's Lance Henriksen, whose kid I think gets accidentally killed by a pack of youths, and they get to go on with their lives, and he just becomes so consumed with grief and vengeance that he summons a demon to hunt them down and make them suffer and die to pay for what they did to his kid. What's funny about that is that exact same plot is in Hellraiser Hellworld, which is the 8th Hellraiser movie, and Lance Henriksen is once again the guy who summons the demon.
Mhm. He has a lot of children. He's so upset when they die.
Yeah, apparently. It's a different demon this time. This time it was Pinhead, but
Pumpkinhead is like I think one of the worst names for freaking a movie monster. It's like we're good. You've got this pretty gnarly looking demon, and because it has a misshaped head, we're gonna essentially call him a name that you would tease some kid with when you were 12
Yeah.
or 11.
so
I mean, it's just
I could shed some
We're
light on that
Pumpkinhead.
too. So Pumpkinhead, and I think this is the case with the movies, but I think that it's based on a short story by Clive Barker. No surprise. Also, that was not entitled Pumpkinhead, but he's kind of described that way in it. But it's essentially about a demon of the fairy world in Irish mythology. I can't remember the name of the damn thing, but anyway, that gets summoned forth into the modern age and then just kind of freaks the fuck out. Because it doesn't recognize anything. It thinks automobiles are other demons.
well,
But
depends
yeah,
on
this
which
was
one.
sort of loosely kind of based on his description of it there. But obviously they put their own spin on it in the movie and everything. But yeah, it's really just because he's got that bulbous fucking mushy head.
Yeah, I mean, why can't they call him like the doorknob head demon or something? I mean, Pumpkinhead,
Yeah.
it really doesn't fit him. Now, I mean, like the headless horseman, of course, that fits him. But when I look at Pumpkinhead, I don't see anything pumpkin about him. I mean, in fact, he looks more like a xenomorph than anything.
Yeah, I mean, they could just as easily have called him uncircumcised penis head.
That would have been scarier.
Kind of.
I mean,
And more accurate, probably.
If somebody's saying there, uncircumcised peasant's head's coming after you, be like, what the fuck?
It's a bit of a mouthful, isn't it?
There's your tagline for the movie.
Exactly.
Under the name.
Now the question is what is Pumpkinhead's powers? What are his abilities? Let's see.
He's pretty much unstoppable. He has claws and he just keeps coming.
Superhuman strength. Pumpkinhead's physical strength is immense, as he is shown to drag a log easily like a broom, to block the church's exit, as well as overpower multiple foes. He can lift over 7 tons. Good lord. I don't think the creeper is that strong.
7 tons? Holy crap. So he could just start straight throwing cars like they're fucking bricks.
Yeah.
Invulnerability level healing factor. Pumpkinhead's body is seemingly impervious against anything, as it cannot be killed / harmed by conventional means or weapons. Even if injured, it would. Look at the typo. The would instantly regenerate. The only way to stop it was to kill those who summon it. There's his Achilles heel.
Right.
Tracking,
well, because
no
that's the
matter-
thing. He either accomplishes what he's there to do and then goes away, or the contract is broken because it's no longer valid on account of the person he has a contract with is dead.
No matter wherever his target is hiding, Pumpkinhead can find him easily. Intelligence. Although incapable of speaking English, Pumpkinhead is deceptively smarter than he appears. Pumpkinhead was able to smash and trash the cars and bikes of the teens to prevent them from escaping him. In this scene, he appears to let out something of an evil laugh. He also seems to know how to use the environment in his hunt of the marked ones. He also faked being hurt by Joel's rifle to get him to let his guard down. He also blocked the exit of the church, of course, to prevent anybody from leaving. He can conjure storms. Ooh. He can bring very powerful storms and winds. It is unknown if this is intentional or just unconditional side power. Tommy also displays this ability. So his weapons are his claws, his tail, the environment. So this is a tricky one. Well, the creeper, first of all, would the creeper even figure out how to get rid of Pumpkinhead? That's number one. Because basically he's like the crow. You kill the crow, the man becomes human. You kill the bird, he becomes killable.
Well,
you kill this guy, you kill his summoner, he goes back to hell.
Well, the creeper is
if-
intelligent.
Right.
Yeah, but if Pumpkinhead is too, I just think that if you let's say the creeper killed the kid, so he sicks Pumpkinhead on him, puts him as a contract. Chances are he's not going to sit around. I mean, if he has any brains in his head, he's not going to sit there and stay. And we don't know if the creeper knows that killing the guy would ixnay the contract. That would be assumption that the creeper knew how Pumpkinhead's contract worked.
Mhm.
He would just see him as a threat, and so I don't know. And the
It would
storm
just-
thing would work in his favor because the creeper flies. Well, you can't fly if there's a storm going on that's whipping you all
That's a fair
around, right?
point.
So it
Yep.
would ground the creeper. So it would have to be an on land fight.
And even then, if Pumpkinhead can control the weather, he's striking him with lightning. He's doing everything he can to keep him away from the person who summoned him.
Yeah.
Sure.
And with
we do
7
know
tons of strength. Holy
the
shit.
so the creeper doesn't regenerate on his own. He has to consume organs and flesh to do it. So that would definitely set him back. What I think serves him better, though, is that he's extremely fast.
Yeah.
Very hard to track. And he's very, very fast, and he's very good at stalking and concealing himself as well. So Pumpkinhead may not see him coming, or rather, the contract holder might not see him coming, assuming, like you said, Devil, that he's able to figure that out. Pumpkinhead also being smart, though, kind of like it might be something that he would consider that, like, oh, well, this guy won't die as easy as these kids that I'm usually eating. So maybe I'm going to put this guy I got this contract with somewhere where he won't be found, so that, I can finish this.
Well,
too.
here's the
So-
other thing too: is if he goes into a contract with somebody goes into a contract with Pumpkinhead, and the creeper is the marked one, Pumpkinhead's going to know wherever he's at.
Yeah. He
Yeah,
like
it's true.
knows them. But here's the big thing is, let's just say for the hell of it that the creeper is smart enough to say, I'm going to stay out of his reach because he's 7 tons. He can rip me in half.
Right.
He has a certain amount of days he's up, and then he has to go to bed. The Pumpkinhead doesn't give up. 27 days is not like Pumpkinhead's all like, God damn it, I quit. No, he hunts you till it's done. So even if he was able to run away, eventually he's going to get to the time where he has to hibernate. He can't stay awake. Second he lands, no matter what cave he crawls into, no matter how deep in the ground he goes, Pumpkinhead will track him and rip him apart. It's not a matter of if Pumpkinhead will win, or if he will win, it's when he will win. I think that's the defining thing, is that even if I don't think the creeper can hurt Pumpkinhead, because like they said, he regenerates way too quick. The creeper's at a disadvantage there, and like I said, it's just a matter of time. It's like a boxer who jucks and jives, right? You can dip
Mhm.
and dive and dunk underneath all these punches and shit, but eventually, if you get hit, so that's kind of how I see it wrapping up. Is Pumpkinhead will just wait him out. He can,
I could. Okay, so I could kind of see that, but like I said, we're talking about two while inhuman monsters. They are both also very intelligent, and they both have shown a capacity in the past to tactically come at their intended prey or their opponents or whatever. And so, I'm thinking that the creeper. I'm with you on this, Devil. I actually do think that Pumpkinhead's probably going to win out on this, but the creeper's smart enough to see that his attacks aren't working, that this thing heals way too fast, that it's relentless, right? That it can prevent him from using one of its greatest advantages, which is its wings. So tactically, like just thinking on those terms, it would probably occur to him at some point that, like, well, okay, so I can't kill him, I can't get away from him. The next best thing is to somehow, I don't know, prevent him from coming after me, like immobilize him somehow, like drop him in, I don't know, something equivalent to quick drying concrete or that resin that he's always spewing up, right? Which seems to be nearly unbreakable.
Well, it's nearly unbreakable, maybe not to something that can.
Yeah, unless
put
you're
up
Pumpkinhead.
tons.
Yeah,
It might just be like, cardboard to him. I would agree with you, except to get him in quick dry cement, to get him in any kind of compromising position where he might be immobilized, he would have to get within arm reach of Pumpkinhead, and no one wants to do that. He wants to keep the fight as far away from Pumpkinhead as possible, because if you get within arm's length, and he grabs you, you're done for. He'll rip parts of you off. It's just that simple.
right.
So I just don't see how the creeper can keep the fight at a distance and in any way stop Pumpkinhead. Because, like I said, if it was as simple as just staying out of his reach and hitting him with, some sort of damaging thing, that's fine. But if nothing damages him, he just repairs instantly, pretty much. What do? He's an unstoppable force. He's kind of like the Juggernaut in that way. He just
Right.
keeps coming and coming and coming. You can't escape. There's no place you can hide where he won't find a way to get to you. And like I said, with the creeper having the limitation of he has a certain amount of days that he's up and then he has to hibernate. It's not like a choice. It's not like he's all like, I'll just put off sleeping for a year. No, 28 days, he becomes immobilized, essentially, I believe.
He does.
Yeah.
It's like he goes back into some kind of a cocoon, or his wings wrap around him, and he kind of retreats back into a different form.
Yeah. So, the best, like I said, he could do is if he could get airborne and fly far enough away, like I said, 27 or 23 days or whatever later, he cocoons up in a cave way far down, thinks he's safe. And then, 8 hours later, Pumpkinhead's ass crawls in there and crushes him like a bean.
Right. Now, here's the other thing too, is that it is definitely I would kind of say like a long distance fight. If the creeper is not aware of him having to kill whoever he went into contract with, if he's not aware of that, he's gonna avoid Pumpkinhead altogether. Like you said, he knows he's got limited time. He's gonna try to go to the other side or whatever he can do, because now at this point, not only is he's looking to really looking to replace his parts, but now he's got to worry about where he's hibernating too, because he knows that this Pumpkinhead is coming, and he really doesn't even know that for sure. So I think that he would avoid him altogether. Now, if Pumpkinhead chucks a car at him and misses, then the creeper already knows, okay, I'm gonna fly up and just start throwing ninja stars at this guy until he realizes that doesn't work. Then he's gonna be like, okay, well, I'm out because there ain't nothing on this guy. I would like to have his strength and all that stuff, but I can't outpower him. So he's gonna roll out, and something or somebody just turned off all the lights in the garage.
It's the creeper.
No, it's my friend. He's playing. He's got jokes, but and I know it's him.
Do they know you're talking about scary movies out here by yourself?
Yes, when I came in here, I caught him messing with the lights. He was trying to turn all the lights red and stuff. So I know he's in here messing with the lights. Anyway, he's got cameras all throughout the house. So I know he's probably watching and laughing. Anyway. And I can't do anything about it because he's about the size of Pumpkinhead. So anyway, now if he knows that he's got that, hey, I can't get away from this guy. I've got to deal with him before I hibernate, and I've got to kill the guy that he went into a contract with. He's gonna avoid Pumpkinhead altogether. Pumpkinhead is gonna have to keep that guy close to him. He's got to. He can't just hide him and go somewhere else, because somehow the creeper is able to find people, too.
Well, the creeper can find somebody, but only if he gets your scent. That's the thing. If the creeper killed his son and then flies off and doesn't have his scent locked in, then I would hide him away, because you put the dude behind you. It doesn't mean the creeper can't get a good shot with one of his goo ninja stars and kill the dude. To completely protect him, it would be impossible. And it would actually give the creeper the idea, because if you're so attentive and protective over this person, he would see him as your weakness.
Right.
I wouldn't assume that the creeper's sitting there saying, "What is this thing?" It doesn't know what a pumpkin head is, so it's sitting there going, "What is this thing?" It's not first thought is going to be like, "I bet if there's a person out there that if I kill, it will send this thing back to hell and make it absolutely useless." You know, like that's just not something you would automatically think of. So the best thing would be is the father or whatever, whoever summons him, to stay the hell away and just let the pumpkin head do their job.
Right. I think the only way that had happened, Devil, because I think you're right about this, but the only way that would happen where the creeper would figure out, what he needed to do to defeat Pumpkinhead, is if he somehow I mean, first of all, for a fact that he's going to Joe Biden Pumpkinhead. He's going to do it, right? He does it to everything he comes across. But if he picks up another scent, one that doesn't belong to the demon that is in front of him, like say the scent of the person he was in contact with, the one who summoned him, off of the demon itself, he's going to be able to track that scent.
Yeah. So Pumpkinhead is gonna have to now. Let's say he goes on a contract. He still got to smell fear off this person. Pumpkinhead ain't gonna be afraid. I think overall. What were we gonna say?
I would agree that he could possibly pick up the scent. I think it's like you said, he has to get the person afraid to lock onto their scent. But if he could get the scent off of him, that's another thing. You'd also have to be able to come close. You can't be flying freaking 1,000 foot above Pumpkinhead and catch that little bit of scent that's still left on him from whoever it is. He'd have to get in close. And like I said, I just see if he comes within the arm length of Pumpkinhead, you can see Pumpkinhead planting that big claw foot he has in the middle of his back and ripping those wings right off like they were confetti.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah, sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
I just like I said, I think that though there's a little distinction here that is worth mentioning. He needs you to be afraid in order to smell what he can use from you, if he can use any of your parts. He does not need to you to be afraid in order to track you by scent, though. Like for instance, in the first movie, he goes through Derry's fucking laundry basket and sniffs all of that shit so that he can track them by scent.
Pervert.
But it isn't till later. It isn't till later that he gets a real good whiff of Derry to see if the eyes are compatible.
You go, ooh, dairy chonies.
I think if he caught the scent, he could definitely track it, whether the dude was afraid or not. In terms of like whether or not he would consume any part of that guy, then he'd have to make him afraid of him. But as far as just tracking him, I don't think he actually needs to be afraid for that.
And see the other. Go ahead.
Also, I don't think Pumpkinhead. I'm not 100% sure. We might have to read for that. I don't think he travels by conventional means, because in the movie he's very slow moving. He doesn't, he doesn't run. He kind of goes like a lumbering, I guess you'd say.
Well, I mean, it's like the 80s, right? Like Jason.
Yeah. When they made the costume, they obviously weren't thinking of speed.
Right.
Like I said, his power comes in that he is relentless. Not that he can catch you real easily. He just wears you down because there's no place you can really go to be safe. That being said, if that's the case, I'm guessing there must be some way he travels. Like either he phases out of this world and travels through negative space. Like there must be some way he travels fast, because otherwise, somebody could get away from him. They could just always make sure that they're 150 miles away from his ass, and it'll take him 6 months to get there.
Yeah. You could drop him into the Marianas Trench, and it'd take him fucking 10 years to get back to land.
Yeah, to climb his ass out and then walk across the ocean bottom. So I'm guessing he must travel some way, like I said, either through darkness or some demon way to get closer to his prey. If that's the case, all he has to do is wherever the guy's hiding is warp or whatever way he travels there. The creeper couldn't track through that. The only way he could track is if the guy held up at Motel 6 and Pumpkinhead's ass walked the 30 miles from Motel 6 to the creeper. I just don't see that happening because, like I said, 30 miles for him, you're looking at a week of his ass fucking before he gets to you. So
Right.
we also would have to look at that, how he travels when he needs to travel long distances.
I think I have to assume that Pumpkinhead goes into a contract with someone that they have a some kind of a link to, because as it said when I looking at Pumpkinhead, when it said that he could control storms, well, so could the guy that summoned him. So they must be able to share power. That there's some kind of link. So if the creeper say he gets the guy saying he goes looking for the guy, Pumpkinhead's gonna know that. It's he's and yeah, the creeper can head for him, and he might be able to outrun Pumpkinhead, and he can fly away, but he can't outrun a lightning strike. He can't outrun a lightning bolt. And if Pumpkinhead's controlling storms, the creeper will never get close to the guy.
Yeah.
So to me, for that reason, I have to give this round to Pumpkinhead, because, like I said, even if he can't catch him, the ability to control storms alone, it makes so that it doesn't matter whether the creeper gets that set or not. He's not getting anywhere near that guy, and he's not going to win a straight up hand to hand fight against Pumpkinhead. He's not winning that fight.
7 tons. That's incredibly strong.
He'll rip his arms, legs, and he'll rip them apart.
Yeah. And that's the thing. We know the creeper is durable. We know he repairs, but can he repair from something that that can literally rip a leg off, an arm, a wing, rip a chunk of his ribs off? Like, I mean, that just
Yeah, and that's something that he doesn't have in his favor. So as far as we know, the creeper is not from some other dimension; it's from this one, right? It means that it lives, it breathes, it has a metabolism. That's part of why it can hibernate for decades on end. But because its metabolism is very slow, it can't heal on its own and has to actually consume whatever it is it's trying to replace. So in the midst of battle, he'd have to haul off to go find somebody to replace the liver Pumpkinhead just ripped out of him, for instance.
Yeah,
but he'd have to actually find a compatible one to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, Pumpkinhead's not letting me go, because as soon as he tries to disengage from that fight, storm, lightning bolt, he's down on the ground, or he's disintegrated.
Well, even on the ground, I don't think that there's that one advantage that the creeper does have. It's like, while Devil's right, there's got to be some other way that Pumpkinhead travels. When he is on foot, he's extremely lumbering and slow. The creeper is not. The creeper is fast as fuck, even on foot.
Well, that's why I said the creeper doesn't. I mean, the Pumpkinhead doesn't have to run after him. He's not going to catch him, but he's controlling storms. That means he can control lightning, wind, all that stuff. That's why I said the guy. He's never. Even if the creeper figures out he's got to go kill the person that made the contract with Pumpkinhead, he's never going to get close to him. The Pumpkinhead will use the weather to keep him away. If he gets, he'll have the wind blow him right to him, and he'll just rip him apart. He what's left of him tries to go and grab somebody else, he'll just follow him and do it again. That's why I said I have to give the fight to Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking at what it says here under Storm Conjuring, and it's clear apparently whether or not it's something that he does deliberately, or if it just happens by his mere presence. It doesn't sound like he's actually controlling the storm so much as even if he's intentionally unleashing them. I don't know that he could target directly with lightning. Wind, certainly, like a windstorm you could make huge, but like lightning, I don't know if that would be something you could do. But you make a good case.
Well, even if it's wind, he'll still blow. He can still blow the creeper to him, or blow him away from the guy, and he could just continue to do it. Like Devil said. And who's to say that out of the 23 days, who's to say that the creeper runs into Pumpkinhead and the guy on day 1? If it's day 23, the creeper's got a couple of hours. There's so many.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, also, I would say obviously my choice is Pumpkinhead, but I would say this: it's one of those things that there is a slim margin for victory. But like I said, the assumption is there would have to be a circumstance that gives the creeper either the idea or the thought process that to kill the person who summoned is the key. Like I said, if something hints that, if something gives that away, then the creeper would win, obviously.
Yeah.
But like I said, it's all based on him or something giving away that his weakness is his summoner, and him to know who the
certain
summoner
dominoes
is
have
too.
to fall exactly right for him to win, but there is a chance he could win if those circumstances were fulfilled. But I'm with it on this too. I think Pumpkinhead takes it because the odds of those specific circumstances happening are so slim.
Yeah. If there was even one other thing that Pumpkinhead was weak to, if he had like kryptonite or some level of weakness to something, I would give a much better chance to the creeper. But like I said, it would strictly determine if somebody let slip, hey, you know that dude who you killed his son like 23 years ago? Asshole summon this thing. Go kill him and you're done with it. And I just don't see, like I said, it's not like I would advertise that if I had summoned a demon to kill another demon type thing. I'd stay the hell away from the fight. I'll watch it on the 6 o'clock news,
Yeah. In China.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know, Larry.
So I guess, like I said, for me, my answer is Pumpkinhead. I do think that there is a chance the creeper could win, but I think it would come down to who's smarter between the two of them. And since we don't have that answer, I can only go off of what's in front of me, and I got to give the edge to Pumpkinhead.
Yeah. A final thought though on the creeper in general. He's basically the Joe Biden of movie monsters. Always sniffing kids. Really old and
Wanting
decrepit.
ice cream. Big on ice cream.
That's creepy.
Yeah. What did I tell you about the fucking creator of this creature? Like everything he ever touches has to do with violating kids somehow. Including his prison sentence.
Well, okay. So with that said, we are at 2 hours and 17 minutes. And I'm guessing that we have an answer. Pumpkinhead gets the nod. I don't know if we're in complete agreement of that.
No, I agree.
No,
like I said, the only way Creep had a way of winning is that very odd chance that somehow he's able to figure out So like I said, I'd have to give it to Pumpkinhead on the fact that if it just came straight down to it, there's just no way the Creeper can physically keep up with Pumpkinhead.
Yeah, I'm right there. Like I said, I do think that there is that chance. I think that chance, and I think that it honestly, it has to do with the sniffing. I think if he catches a whiff of the other guy, he's going to be curious and go find out what that other person is. But that's like you guys bring up good points, and I think that the odds of that happening are so low that it's. While I do think there is a chance, I think that in say 99 out of 100 matches, Pumpkinhead takes it.
Yeah, uncircumcised penis head is the champ. In this case.
Yeah, I think it can happen. I think he can sniff him, and I think it can happen. I just don't think it'll matter. I don't think it'll matter. I think you can sniff him, and Pumpkinhead will use the winds or whatever. He might be able to teleport. He might be able to do whatever. And and if he can't, he's not going to let that kid out of his sight or guy. And on top of that, human beings have proven that they can hurt him too. Who's to say that the person that summons Pumpkinhead ain't armed to the teeth?
That's true.
It'd be smart.
And even if he sniffs him, you got to remember Popcorn was a bad dude. And,
corn pop.
Yeah, corn pop. There, Popcorn. Whatever.
So
he's a bad dude.
But with that said, I guess that is it for tonight's show. Everybody, thank you for tuning in. Devil, you got anything you want to plug?
Yeah, check me and Sam out here in an hour over at Beelzepub. Tonight we have Tiny but Fierce, Vagabond, and Cellshade. So we have a full house essentially. And then check out Monday. Yeah, this Monday I'll be able to do it. I'm trying to figure out my own schedule. Mellow Mondays, I should be on, and then we'll be doing a Wrong Think. And yeah, and then check out Devil's Angels, the videos. We've got 3 of them up. The 4th one should be coming out here very shortly. And we're already, I believe, on the 5th. That one will be coming out a little bit after that. So do check them all out. They're a lot of fun to make, and hopefully they're fun to watch.
Nice. As for me, you guys can catch me in the chat tomorrow on the world famous Exile Lioness 2 channel if she comes on. As for Miss Know Me Without You, the girl works like 3 jobs, so she comes when she can. Other than that, you can catch me right here next week. Again, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, we announced that next week is trivia week. So next week's schedule is, it probably won't be any infamous news. If there's something I see that's really crazy, I'll save it for the following week. But next week is we've got trivia. We're gonna do a review of Bram Stoker's Dracula, and we're thinking for verses. We're thinking Dracula versus someone, and there's so many different versions of Dracula. Like we could do Bram Stoker's Dracula versus the version of Dracula from the Castlevania video game series, or maybe somebody else, or we might just go a completely different route and just make another fight between 2 other people. So that we haven't figured that one out yet, but next week is sure to be it's going to be action packed, so to speak.
Indeed. And I guess that brings it around to me. I am Sammy the Infamous. You are obviously watching my channel, and so you know where to find me. We do obviously Abyssal Musings every week here. Lawrence Knight and myself. Devil's become kind of a regular over here as well. So his link is also in the description below. Yeah, just check us out on Devil's channel, Beelzehub, here shortly for Beelzepub. We'll be back here tomorrow afternoon for Screaming Into the Void, number 112. And big topic of the day will be exploding pants in Arab countries, among other things. So, I make light of that now. I don't know if everybody's going to like my opinions on that tomorrow, but we'll find out. And then Mellow Mondays on Monday on Adam the Renaissance Nerd's channel. And most likely you will be able to find me on Exiled Lioness 2 tomorrow night. So that said, we'll be back next week for another episode of Abyssal Musings. We're creeping ever closer. We got 3 more episodes till our 100th episode. Halloween's coming up soon. Yeah, got some stuff. It'll be good. Thank you all for coming. It's been fantastic. I hope you guys enjoyed the show as much as we enjoyed doing it. And we will see you all next time. Remember, it could always be worse. It could be raining flaming cobras. Good night, everybody.
See you.
Toodles.